got the tape on, so
I'm
we're
real
ready to
good
go.
about returning the calls lately,
By choice?
so. Well, I'm trying not to.
I'd like to call to order the Green Lake Township Board of Trustees regular meeting of July 8th to order at 5:30 PM. Judy, can you do a roll call, please?
Biondo. Merrick.
Here.
Biganowski. Kramer here. Radke.
Here.
West. And McDonald.
Here.
We have a full quorum. Thank you. Before going on to the next topic, if you have a smartphone, smart device, or anything that makes noise, if you could put that on mute or silent or off, that would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, please rise for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there any board member wishing to add, remove, modify any item on the agenda?
Chair, I'd like to remove the airport manager follow-up since we received a couple of resumes in the last 24 hours that we haven't looked at yet.
Okay. Any others? Let's see. And I would,
I'll second that motion.
oh, I was going to compound on that, the bank rec issues. As my notices that I emailed to you earlier, late last month or early this month, I cannot recall the exact date. I'd like to wait until we get a report from Plant Moran, which is expected to be within the next week. Some update on that regards there. So if we could, I'd like to remove that from postponed business as well. Okay, so
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with removal of treasurer bank rec issues and airport manager follow-up.
Second. Vote on
not yet.
Well, we didn't vote on
We have a motion, we have support. Any further discussion?
Well, which one are we voting on? Because Dave and Pat made a motion and Andy did too.
I did not hear the
On
motion, I'm
Andy's
sorry.
motion, because Pat was a little early. You withdraw that motion, Pat, on the first one?
I would, I seconded it, but
Okay.
Andy and who seconds? Pat.
Pat,
Oh, good
any
start.
further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carried. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which contains minutes of 6/10/2025, treasurer's report, and bills. Is there any member of this board wishing to remove any item from the consent agenda? The minutes for Sherry? We'll place them under foreclosed property of new business, number 4. Is there any other request of the board? Request of the staff? Request of the audience? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with removal of the minutes of 6/10/2025, placed under new business item, action item number 4.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion by Merrick, supported by West, to approve the consent agenda as stated. Any discussion?
Yeah. I don't know if these are on the consent agenda for sure or not. I just wanted to know if these cash balance funds that you give us, Andy, are they through May, are they through June, or are they into July?
I have to look at the date on them to see to make sure. I don't want to shoot off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
there wasn't a date, so I know.
The date would be
I believe it was through June, but I'm not positive.
It says May 30th on the
Oh, it says on the
report.
top of the
May
report.
30th, top left, I believe.
Yeah, right here.
No,
Or-
these things.
Well,
Okay.
that's going to be the same date. He's using May 30th.
I'm transposing that onto another, that report I was told might be easier for some board members to understand or to read, because it combined everything together. So it's a copy of the other report transferred over that, to make it,
So it'd be May 30th.
yes.
Any further discussion? Let me roll call that, please.
Biganowski.
Yes.
Kramer, yes. Radke.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yeah.
Biondo.
Yes.
And Merrick.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which has been declaration of conflict of interest. Is there any member of this board have any conflict of interest they'd like to declare on any item on our agenda?
Mr. Supervisor, I believe there may be a conflict of interest on me voting on a potential item on the agenda of the payroll amendment per chief case, as I am a paid member on the fire department.
Okay. With that, I respectfully request that you remove yourself from the table and step out or step to the back of the room, please.
When we get to that item.
When we get, yes.
Removed from the whole meeting.
I tried. Next item is reports. I see we have our community police officer, Sheriff Deputy Nofke.
Good evening. We've currently been in full swing of the concert season. Interlochen has had 30 scheduled for the year. So for the last month, the bulk of my time has been spent at the school. We had an incident last month. Paramedics are here that were with that. We had a gentleman right in front of us, literally going to cardiac arrest. Thankfully, we were in the right place at the right time. And as far as I know, that individual's still alive, or he was several days after. It was a really good team involvement, job done. One last thing, if there's anybody out here, it's a full house tonight, if you're a part of any like church group or business, our office, we do fraud presentations. We still deal with people that are victims of fraud. We probably average about 4 to 5 a day. And we're trying to get that number down to 0 would be nice, but we don't live in a perfect world. We want to minimize that so people stop becoming victims to these frauds, you know, through various means. But we offer trainings and classes for free where we come in and give our perspective on how to prevent it. And that's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Any other questions from the audience? Thank you. Okay. The next item I see is Chief Case. We have your written report. Do you have anything that you wish to add, sir?
I do have a couple things. The first, I'm just looking for an approval. I did not have it on the, to Supervisor Radke in time, but I mentioned to the board about 3 months ago that we received a matching grant from the Department of Natural Resources for wildland fire gear. And I need to get, it's kind of time pressing, otherwise I'd wait till next month, but they're gonna pay us they're gonna match $2,500 for turnout gear, so I'd like the approval. It's within the budgeted amount on the line item for $8,787.21. That'll buy us 3 sets of wildland gear, dual qualified, so we can use it for extrication. And of that $8,700, we'll get $2,500 back from the Department of Natural Resources. So that'll buy us 3 sets. So that was one thing that I wanted to do right away tonight.
What was the total, 8,000?
It's 87,8721.
Is that turnout gear different than other turnout gear?
It is. So it's not structural. It's not rated to be in a residential or commercial fire. It's lighter weight, and that's why it qualifies for the DNR's reimbursement grant. It'll still provide flame protection, so when we're out in wildland, but it's not as hot, which is more important when we're out on wildland fires. It's got a liner that zipped in and out, and then we can use it on extrication, car fire, that kind of stuff. So it is different. We wear it, and these 3 sets will go to department members that don't currently have this set of gear. So it's pretty much, I think, after this is done, everybody will have a wildland set rather than just a jumpsuit that we've had previously for that.
Okay, one other question I'd like to follow up on.
Yep.
Status of the fire engine. I know it went out of service.
It did. So 2 weeks ago, the fire engine coming back had a mechanical issue and had to be towed. It's been at Just Trucks, and we got the diagnosis yesterday to get Supervisor Radke approved ordering. It's a fuel delivery system. It's not a fuel pump. It's really a fuel pump, but Cummins calls it something else. It's the same thing that we replaced 5 years ago, or a component of what we replaced 5 years ago. Generation, aftermarket, ordered in 3 days. So hopefully, potentially we'll have it here on Thursday, or if not Friday. And I think they've got it all torn down, ready to go in. So maybe potentially back on Friday. So it is fixable. Again, it's a 24-year-old engine with its replacement, hopefully right around the corner. They were supposed to update me on the process of that yesterday, but I haven't heard back from them. Didn't have a chance to talk to them today. So yeah, should be back up. We've been doing okay with the pumper tanker. We've had 3 mutual aid structure fires in the last week since that's been down. But
And the follow-up question of the new one. That's,
still holding on December of this year.
okay, I just wanted that clarification. You said December, I just wanted to
Of
make
this
sure it was
year,
this
yes,
year.
Yes, that's what I've
It was
been
supposed
told.
to have been September of last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else in your report?
I have one additional thing. So, as Deputy Nofke tried to steal a little bit of thunder there, he did a very poor job of it, but that's okay. That's okay. He's a policeman. So, and kind of joking about this, but this is kind of a big deal. And it's kind of a big deal because so June 17th, at the Interlochen Center for the Arts, where we provide AMONT standby, they pay us to be there. We're there for, obviously, more people than we would typically have in one setting, which is an important factor in having AED placement, having defibrillators, having EMS providers, having trained rescuers, whether it's just CPR or having additional training. So on that evening, while our crews was there, we had a standby crew there. Alex was there on his own free will, hanging with the crew. They had a gentleman come up to the ticket stand and suddenly collapse in front of our crew. Witnessed by Alex and Deputy Nofke, they watched the guy suddenly collapse. Deputy Nofke radioed a dispatch for help. Alex stepped in immediately. Checked responsiveness on the gentleman, and he was unresponsive, had a faint pulse, and within less than a minute, he was pulseless. Alex started CPR right away, identified the duty crew, or the response crew, which was paramedic Jeff Lenton and EMT Andy Merrick, and they defibrillated the gentleman one time and received what we call ROSC, or return of spontaneous circulation. Had pulses back, medicated the gentleman because he was still not well, but he was fighting for an airway, so they secured an airway and transported him to the hospital. Subsequently, underwent a couple surgeries. This was a 78-year-old gentleman, okay? So not a spring chicken, okay? What we say is at that age, you have some comorbidities, which are heart disease or hypertension or emphysema or COPD, these things, diabetes that we earn over time. So it's harder to save. I bring this point up because in the state of Michigan, about 8.5% of cardiac arrests outside of a hospital setting survive to walk out of a hospital, and this gentleman's back in his community because of the outstanding job that this crew did. Right place, right time, right training, right equipment. It's kind of like hitting a grand slam in the World Series. I mean, in the EMS world, that's what this means. This isn't something that occurs that often in a career. So to have it happen here, it's the first time that we've had a cardiac arrest save in the Arts Academy since I can think of. And I've been there for going on 30 years of standbys and events there. So it's kind of a big deal. And again, the speed and recognition of these individuals is outstanding. So with that, I'd like Jeff Lenton, Alex Johnson, Joe Miracle Jr., Andrew Merrick, and Logan, doesn't look like Logan Mosier made it, and then Deputy Mark Nofke to step up here and grab a certificate from me. Thank you. Good job.
Go ahead, Mary Jo.
Nice try. I give you credit for trying. Good job, Alex. Congratulations. Oop, Joe. Thanks, Joe. It's been on.
I didn't even
Right.
recognize him.
Good job. Congratulations. I appreciate the board's time with that. Like I said, it's a big deal. Okay, it's a big deal to, there's a lot of thing in public safety that unfortunately for us, the cards are dealt before we ever get there. Traffic crashes that are so severe, there's nothing that we can do when we get there. House fires that are not recognized until they're 20 minutes in, and it's flames out every window when we get there. There's nothing that we can do about that. So when we get events like this, that there is something that we can use our training and our equipment to do, and the right things come out. You know, hopefully this gentleman gets another 10 years of Christmases and events with his grandchildren or great-grandchildren or whatever that is, which is very important. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Case. With that being said, I understand there's a request to expend $8,787.21 to purchase wildfire gear, so we can be reimbursed up to $2,500 of that from the MDNR.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Kramer, supported by Biondo, to purchase of wildland turnout gear as requested. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Kramer, yes. Radke,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Biondo,
Yes.
Yes.
Merrick, and Biganowski.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good luck with that. I don't see anybody from the road commission or the county commission. I have no updates on either or in that regards there. So we'll move on to public comment. This is an opportunity for public to speak to the board. I would ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and direct it towards the board only, and that you understand that this is an opportunity for the public to speak to the board, not to engage with the board. With some of the public comments, we'll listen and perhaps take further action on it if necessary or warranted. With that being said, I'd ask that you go to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there any member of the public wishing to do so? Yes. Ed.
I'm Leah Gorley. I'm at 8551 Strawberry Point, a part of the Strawberry Point Association. It is my understanding that when Mr. Biondo was supervisor, he gave a report to us regarding the expenditures of what it costs to run our sewer system. In 2010 and 2011, the budget was $6,400, and that was divided among 10 homes. Currently, your budget dropped to $4,050, and there should now be divided by 12 homes, thus reducing some of our quarterly costs. Also, those 2 homes, it's my understanding, had to give a tie-in fee of approximately $7,000. So I was wondering where that, times 2, where that $14,000 went. That is my request, to kind of look at that. And, you know, Mr. Biondo, when he reported what, I believe it's Butch, what his fees are for monitoring our system, it spelled out what each of those are, and it's like half that now. And I think as the association, we want to see a more detailed report like back in 2010, 2011. Thank you.
Ted Klimaszewski. I live at 8565 Strickland Road. I'm also a member of the Strawberry Point Association. And we had a discussion for a moment in May about jurisdiction of the road ends in there, and it was understood that the Township Board had wanted nothing to do with dealing with road ends, docks, whatever. We have had some problems with people putting docks in the wrong place and the docks ending up in the wrong place. But so if anybody calls, anybody from the township with questioning about putting a dock out at a road end or at part of the Strawberry Point Association, I want to read into the Michigan state law. Please defer them to the Strawberry Point Association. But Michigan Public Act 56 of 2012 prohibits the use of public road ends for construction, installation, maintenance, or use of boat hoists or boat anchorage devices, mooring or docking of vessels between 12 midnight and sunrise, or any activity that obstructs ingress or egress from the inland lake or stream. A public road shall not be used for construction of a dock or wharf or other than a single permanent or seasonal public dock or wharf that is owned by the local unit of government and authorized by the Department of Environmental Quality. So I just want that qualified. Please defer to, since DNR does not want to take control of this, and I don't believe the county does either. So at that point, I talked to Dan and Rich at the DNR, and they both are like, well, it's the association that pretty much controls that. So that, I just wanted to qualify that for everybody that takes any calls. 3 minutes?
Very good, thank you. Okay, I see a lot of new faces here, which is great. Would you like to exercise the opportunity? Going once, twice. There will be another opportunity later on in the agenda. So with that, we'll move on to the next item of our agenda, which includes discussion. And if I may address part of the comment on the Strawberry Point finances. Currently, I've been working with Butch Straight, who is the maintenance individual for that particular system, and also with the auditors and waiting for year-end numbers to come out for with our budget. We have prelims. I think I'm going to run with them. I feel pretty comfortable with that. And the fund balance is no longer in the $4,000 range. It's up in the neighborhood of $21,000 range, I believe. Looking at the budget that we went through and adopted last month in June. but I'll get that information to you. Due to the request of Strawberry Point, Bush Road individuals have made the request of the same thing. So I'm gathering that information and running it by, and I do have responses from Butch Straight as of, I think, 2:30 this afternoon, which I have not had time to review and assemble. So I'll get that report and send out to the two entities that have made that request of the financial status. And as far as road ends, you're absolutely right. We don't want nothing to do with them. And I do believe we've had one individual call and talked with Mr. Muhall, who sent them on to the Strawberry Point Association. So that's from my understanding. And other than that, any other discussion? Well, I'd like to take this opportunity. I noticed this sitting on our desk. Mary.
3 minutes,
Yeah.
done.
So I'm going to give you time, Mary Jo. Could you explain what this is, please?
That is,
Microphone.
you shouldn't give me a microphone.
You're right.
This year, the Green Lake Township Youth Baseball Program doubled the number of participants. We went from 48 last year to 100 this year. And now I also get to call out Roy and Pam and Jason, Marv and Judy. We covered the cost of the T-shirts. We had equipment sponsors, Twin Bay Glass and Thal Bachman. Did I say that right?
Yes.
And the chief and his staff cooked hot dogs, and the deputy association paid for the hot dogs for a year-end picnic. So this was a free event, no charge to any of these kids. But I have to add, not only did these guys pay, they showed up. We needed a lot of help this year, as you can imagine. And it was a great season, and we had no complaints, I don't believe.
Herding cats is not a problem nowadays, I guess.
We do start our program at 3 years old. So if we do it again next year, we'll make sure you all know, because it is very entertaining to watch.
Well, it saved a lot of money picking dandelions.
Yeah, and rolling in the grass. Thank you, Mark.
Yes. Okay. Any other discussion points?
Marv, I do want to, with the Strawberry Point and Bush Road, there could be some slight modifications to the numbers based upon what our accounting firm we contracted with discovers.
Okay, I stand corrected.
I don't suspect
So-
it's going to be anything major, but there could be a little bit discovered because I did some stuff in the computer.
Okay, so I stand corrected. My apologies. I will, once I get the factual information, we'll have a sit down. Maybe I'll invite Paul too. Any other discussion? Oh, no.
He has mobility
Yeah,
issues.
He's out of that now.
He's the
Thank
one
you.
that started it all. I think you should be present.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence. I have nothing. Wonderful. I guess on the next item would be new business, which contains a public hearing for our Green Lake Township Park and Rec Plan. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing at 5:58 PM.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Merrick, supported by, is it West, I heard? Oh, Paul, or Biondo, to open the public hearing at 5:58. Again, this is a requirement of the state of Michigan for communities to update their park and rec plan every 5 years. The purpose of that is to ensure that we are planning for the future, and which we have to indicate that and estimated cost on some of the items that the public or the park and rec system would acquire for the purpose of pursuing grants from the MDNR Trust Fund, which we utilized that at one point in time to purchase Camp Saki. We spent $60,000 on a $1.7 million piece of property, with Rotary Charities throwing in roughly $300,000, and the rest was a grant from the state of Michigan. So We need to pursue this, so if we want to enhance any of our parks or add recreation activities, facilities, we have to have this done before the end of this year. And we've updated it, we reviewed it, and I believe Mr. McDonald is pretty astute with this document, so I'd like to turn that over to him to give a brief update in regards to the writings of said document.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And consultation with the drafter, primary drafter, have about 10 proposed adjustments for the board to consider. If you have the proposed plan in front of you, some of them are minor, most of them are minor. But on the cover page, it was proposed to change the date from January 14th to July the 8th, to today's date.
Who's the primary draft?
Mary Jo.
She handled all the amendments and updating of the information as required by state law.
And had a thorough review.
Yes.
And on page 1, second paragraph, third line, where it says via US 37, we were proposing to strike that, because since US 31 goes all the way to Traverse City anyways, and there is no US 37, so
Okay.
we're proposing to strike that. And on page 7, we're gonna make an adjustment to, in the second paragraph, it said total budget expenditure was 164,675, but our budget is showing 81,691, so I'm assuming we're gonna change that 164 down to 81,691. Even though I think we have other funds that kind of drift into Parks and Rec.
Correct.
All right, so we're gonna reconcile those numbers.
Are you saying 81,000 now?
81,691 is actually last year's budget for Parks and Rec.
Lower right, it's already in
Lower right down at the bottom. And on page 9, we're just gonna change the ownership of Interlochen Elementary School to private. It's not owned by the school district anymore. It's the second column there. And then on,
Wait a minute, Pat, I haven't found that.
okay, page 9, second from the bottom, has Interlochen Elementary School.
Okay,
And the second column gives the ownership.
It's
And
no longer TCAPS.
it's owned by the Interlochen Center for the Arts, which we're categorizing as private.
Okay?
Page 16, just a date adjustment. Down at the very bottom, the date, I guess there was an intention at one point to get this done in January, but changing that date from January 14th to July the 8th in the last paragraph. All right, and page, everybody got good with that one? Okay. Page 17, which gets a little bit involved because this is kind of when it comes to the grants, this is probably the page that they're gonna go to. 3 changes. We're gonna strike Memorial Park from the second and third paragraphs because the surveys were not specific to Memorial Park. And then we were gonna add to the first paragraph about trails, in parentheses, we were gonna add mentioned 5 times in additional comments, which was trails as being important.
Okay.
And then finally, at the end of the at the 3rd paragraph at the end where it says "and," we're going to add the word "trails."
We have more specifics of walking trails, hiking trails, snowmobile trails.
Side-by-side trails.
I'd have to go back and analyze it all again. I think it was,
Trails being generic.
yes, yes.
Hasn't hurt us.
No.
Correct.
Then page 22, just a typo
No.
down at second line from the bottom, just striking that O after park at the very end of that sentence.
So no parkour. Okay.
All right.
Blow Neil.
And then page 23, where the maps start, there's an extra map in there for Camp Saki that we want to remove because it's duplication. We want to change the ownership of Camp Saki to public/township.
Wait a minute, Pat. Page 23, there's a map, you want to remove that? What page is the
Page
map?
23 starts numerous maps.
Right. Which map
And
you want to remove?
in those maps, there's a duplication. There's 2 for the Camp Saki property.
It's that important, Pat.
Well, this is going to be reviewed by some high rollers. No.
There is 2, they're identical, and they should.
So just remove one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for the remaining one, just to correct the ownership, that Camp Saki is no longer private. It would be, phraseology is public/township as the new ownership. And there's also a map of the school that's now in private ownership, Interlochen Center for the Arts, so you must wanted to change that ownership to private. I think it's probably the last, no, it's not the last one. And then last but not least, we were proposing, we have the survey responses in here, the most recent survey responses, and it talks about how they haven't changed since the last time we did it. So we thought to beef up our numbers a little bit, we would add in the survey responses from our previous plan, so that when these grant people look at it, they don't only see the most recent ones, but they can see we've been consistent in our priorities pretty much.
So what year was the previous?
16. And we might be able to,
Last slide or added them together?
We probably put them after, following the most recent ones.
so stack it.
Yeah,
Are they the same questions?
no, but similar coverage.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Pat? Well, thank you, Mary Jo and Pat, for taking that on, adjustment there, and everybody's understanding of the changes in that regards there. So we've explained the Park and Rec plan. We went through and did some, what I consider minor adjustments, clarification of that. I'd like to open this Park and Rec plan up for public comment. Is anyone here that would like to speak?
Mars time is up.
Yes. In regards to the Park and Rec plan. Anybody in favor? Anybody negative? Anybody neutral?
Did they read it?
wonderful. That's fantastic.
Yes.
I think we've all done a good job, and we'll bring it back to this board. We can close the public hearing aspect. I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing at 6:09. Biondo?
Support.
Support by Merrick. Any discussion? Shall we do
I'll make a motion.
all
that
in
we-
favor?
I have to take action on the park plan.
Yeah, all in
Adopt it.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is closed. Now, the next item on our agenda is action on the Park and Rec plan based upon the public hearing comments and review.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the Green Lake Township recreational plan as amended.
Support. We have a motion by Merrick, supported by Radke, to adopt the Park and Rec plan as amended. Any discussion?
Yeah, you made the comment when you first opened it up that it has to be done every 5 years now. Wasn't it 10 that used to be?
Yes.
And now
Yes.
it has to be every 5?
Yes. And our capital improvement plan is every 6 years now. So, yeah, there's things that are changing. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
West,
Yes.
excuse me, McDonald,
Yes.
Biondo. Yes. Merrick.
Yes.
Reganowski.
Yes.
Kramer, yes, and Radke.
Yes. Motion is approved to adopt the Park and Rec plan with the amendments. Thank you. Next item, Andy, leave.
Okay.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
Please note the record. Thank you.
That we kicked him out?
Yes.
At what time?
At 6:11. Chief Case, I believe this is your agenda item and topic.
Yeah, so what I sent the board is a adjustment for market adjustment on 1.8. When I initially submitted the budget numbers, that was for, and the wage line item that was approved reflected a 5% for the hourly employees, whether they're full-time, part-time, paid on call. And then it was 3.2 in the approved wages that you guys approved. So with staying consistent with where I think we need to be at that 5%, this is, proposal to increase the hourly to up to that 5%. You guys already approved the 3.2 cost of living. And then the second page was transferring that all over. So that's from 29 cent to 45 cent, depending on the employee. So that's what I'm proposing.
So you're saying when we did our budget, you submitted 3.2, but you meant 5%?
Well, in the total budget that Supervisor Radke had put the numbers in was at a 5%. Then the wage budget sheet Judy had, and it did not get transferred to that.
So the math was off, is what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I didn't get the numbers in this fashion to Judy. It got approved in the overall budget, but not in the wage sheet. Does that make sense?
All right, so to me, that makes a difference, because now we're asking to approve the wage sheet, not the budget. The budget's correct, and we did all that correct, just our wage sheet, which I think is non-binding nonsense, and I always go no on, that's what he's saying is off, not what we actually did. He agrees with me, look at that.
Well,
At
he's
some
under-
point, we have to set their wages, just the budget
Right.
set the
Right.
wages,
Right.
and we have to set them.
Well, he-
We have to set them in that regards there.
Written down. Okay.
So before I make the motion, I would like to read something for the board.
Okay?
I just wanted to give my input on the request for the 5%. Over the years that I've been working at the Green Lake Township, let's start again. I have supported every request in regards to the Emergency Services Department during my elected position. I do have a problem with this pay raise request. In reviewing other township emergency services pays and benefits, it shows Green Lake Township is at the top of the pay scale for both hourly pay and benefits. Is the emergency services staff aware that a single employee receives $17,555.20 in benefits each year? A family receives $32,327.09 in benefits each year from the township, and this does not include ESTA or vacation time off. Green Lake Township has one of the most generous benefit packages around. These amounts do not include your vacation or your ESTA. It is my opinion the township staff have been neglected for years in regards to pay raises and top-of-the-line work environment, yet there has been no complaining from any of them. They appreciate what they have received. I've reviewed other townships on what they pay their emergency services. Green Lake Township is at the top of the list. The pay per hour along with the benefits that everybody receives is actually probably where I feel it should be. I do have several concerns. I feel that by us doing this, that we are starting a new precedent. When the board sat down in June and they made their final decision on what was going to be paid, are we setting a precedent that now if people complain about the pay, that they're able to come back a month later after we've set the budget or set the pay rate, pay amount, and have it corrected? I do have a problem with that. I feel, like I said, that a lot of the Green Lake Township staff have been neglected over the years. We have delayed giving them increases in pay because we've been trying to get the fire department up to where we felt that they should be for benefits and for hourly pay. This year, we gave 4% to all of the staff to kind of get them up where they should be. I'm not opposed if the board would agree to moving the staff from 3.2% that we did up to 4%. I don't feel that the work that the staff at Green Lake Township does is any different from what the paramedics do. I think that if we're going to do raises, that we should keep them all the same. A couple of concerns I have moving forward with the pay raises. We have a new fire station that we're paying for. We have a new fire engine coming that we are paying for. Near future, we're going to have to get a new ambulance. We're also going to have to get a new chief vehicle in the near future. There's a group out there working on Axe My Tax. What if that gets a little momentum and gets going? That's something to think about. The biggest concern I have is we have 2 millages that are up for re-election next year. If the millages don't pass, and how are we going to pay payroll? How are we going to pay for all of the things that we're doing right now with the fire department? It's not saying that I don't feel that, that their work isn't worth it. In the past, we have given them ARPA money that the township employees didn't get. They have gotten higher raises. They have gotten a lot more benefits than the township. Like I said, I'm not opposed if you would consider raising them up to the 4% that we did for all the other employees. I would be on board with that. With that being said, I would like to make a motion that we set the pay increase for emergency services personnel from 3.2% to 4% for the 2025-2026 budget year.
Is there any support for that motion? I will support that motion for discussion purposes. Paul, I can see you're ready for discussion. Do you have anything that you'd like to say, Paul? Nope.
No, so your proposal is 4%, and this is reflective of 5%.
Correct.
So
4% is what we gave the other staff members who did not complain about their raises.
reflect,
3.2.
And that was a rate of inflation.
and this motion would change that to 4.
From 3.2% to 4%.
Thank you. That's good.
Sherry, you have any comments?
No?
Pat?
Well, we're doing the budget, did we essentially approve the 5% increase?
Well, you approved a standard amount, but that's in the budget. It doesn't mean that it needs to be utilized. You have it there as a placeholder.
Yeah. I mean, it could be for additional personnel, or, you know, if we want to hire, or we authorize hiring of somebody that is going to pick up, make it a 3-person crew. That's what those funds are in there for, to address the wages.
So we approve it to 4% tonight, and revisit whether everyone should go up another percent, whether that's justified or not.
Was everyone all encompassing on that statement, Pat? Okay, Dave?
I don't look at this the way Judy looks at it. It's come year end, and that's, you know, what our raise is gonna be. I happen to represent the Cedar Area Fire Department in Leelanau County, and to me, our wages for these positions should be set at a competitive rate. So A, we don't lose people, and two, when we advertise for an open position, people will come here instead of somewhere else. It's been my experience that these guys are fairly competitive. If Benzie's gonna pay them an extra $1 an hour, guess what? They're going to Benzie and they're gonna leave us shorthanded. So to me, these rates should be set on competitiveness, not losing people and recruiting people. And I have to rely on Chief Case to say that these are the right numbers, they're not too low, not too high. I really don't care what someone else is doing. Again, over the years, we've seen these departments have a hard time recruiting because somebody else, you know, Benzie took everybody because they were the high guy for a while, and we lost people to Benzie. So, again, if Chief says this is what we need to be where we need to be, I gotta rely on that. It's not some generic year end, let's, you know, throw them a bone of some percentage. It's on recruiting and retention.
Okay, any other discussion? Let's do a roll call on the motion to authorize an increase up to a total of 4%, an increase from 3.2 to 4%
Correct.
for the emergency services. Do I have that correctly stated?
Mm-hmm.
Motion by Kramer, supported by Radke. Roll call.
McDonald,
No.
Biondo,
No.
Merrick, oh, he can't, Biganowski,
No.
Kramer, yes, Radke,
Yes.
and West.
Yes.
Tied.
Okay, motion fails. Is there any other motion?
I'd move to set the salaries as the chief requested at the 5% increase from last year.
Or
Motion by McDonald, supported by Baganowski. Any further discussion on that? Let's do a roll call.
Biondo,
Yes.
Biganowski,
yes.
Kramer, no, Radke,
No.
West,
No.
and McDonald.
Yes.
Tied.
Okay. With that being said,
We're going to discuss this more in the future.
yes, I guess I'd like to clarify some questions. I supported Judy's motion based upon some of the comments and content of her letter, you did some research. When was that research done, Judy?
Today.
Oh,
And I'm looking at it's the clerks all in Grand Traverse County do a wage sheet and that we prepare to present to the supervisors and the staff and our trustees. In viewing the wages and stuff, then looking at, this was with Long Lake Township, Blair Township, Garfield Township, East Bay Township, and Peninsula Township, Paradise, and Green Lake Township.
did you say Paradise?
Yes.
Okay. And that was as of today.
And the sheet was done January 1st of this year.
Well, in the county, what are the agencies besides Blair Township that have ALS?
Long Lake does.
Blair, Long Lake, Peninsula.
Peninsula.
Right, but the rest of them don't.
Paradise.
Paradise.
Paradise
Contracts,
is
don't they?
basic. Yeah, Paradise is basic.
Basic with contract.
We're competitive outside Grand Traverse County. We're talking Leelanau County, we're talking Benzie County, Manistee. We're quite further than that. I have a wage comparison sheet of a 14 that we just did with City Fire this year. It's much, as Dave mentioned, to pay for retention is money better vested than rehiring individuals.
Oh, yeah, it costs roughly $37,320 to hire a replacement of an individual. That's industry standards in that regards, that I'm aware of.
And
Do
Traverse
you-
City Fire just got approval to hire 6 more full-timers this week.
And the reason I brought it up, because I knew the guys would be here tonight, I want them to understand too that, yes, their hourly wage is what they get paid, but I don't think they understand us as the taxpayers in Green Lake Township, how much that we do provide for all of the benefits that they get. Probably most of the people in Green Lake Township don't know that we pay 100% of the employees, and we pay 75% of their family. That is actually worth a weight in gold. I know a lot of them are young, and they don't understand the importance of having the benefits. The other issue I have is I don't see appreciation. All I see is we give them something, and they come back, and they want more, and more, and more. And, I mean, how much do you keep giving more? We're all taxpayers that are here, so, I mean, that's why I brought up what I brought up and did my research, so I could see exactly how much we are paying. It's not saying that I don't feel that they're worth it. I'm also looking to the future as to what we have coming down the pike. So when you come to us and you need a new ambulance, or you come to us and you need a new vehicle, we're going to get to the point where the board's going to have to say, we can't afford that. We're up to our eyebrows in payroll right now. We can't afford to get you the equipment or things that you need. So those are things that I brought up because I want us all to think about that too.
Sure, and I totally understand that, and I totally get that. If I wasn't comfortable with what I'd approached the board with, I would have never put it there. I also went in good faith and fought for Green Lake Township residents to get Grant Township to pay their value. And I think that's reciprocal also into these numbers. So, we're trying to leverage our partners to help take that burden too, so.
Both those fire departments I told you, Blair Township had this same rub. They went and got a union, cost the township more. Cedar Solon Fire Department, they had this same rub with their board. They went and unionized. So if our people are happy, they're not gonna unionize unless they're not happy. So I don't know if they're happy or not happy, but I don't want a union here. Because then they get new boots every 2 years and all these other little sundry items and all these other sundry benefits we never thought about that's gonna cost us even more.
Currently, I believe the budget surplus, this has been a concern of trying to get the budget formulated this year in a timely fashion. And I believe trying to get the numbers actual received and actual numbers in the bank. I think Chief Case was involved in it as well as myself and Judy, trying to come up with how much did we receive. We weren't able to ascertain any funding level with certainty, from my understanding. So I did my best educated estimate based upon historical data of the last 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and threw some numbers in. Chief Case did wait, and he did keep on top of the treasurer to get some numbers to him, which caused a delay of 5 weeks of getting your information to my office, I believe. Well, closer to 6, maybe, Chief Case, if I'm correct. And you're saying that the number that you put in for wages accounted for the 5%, which is reflective of the fund balance of an anticipated $25,000 in the fire and EMS
Yeah,
budget
it was
this
less
year.
than that. Yep.
So that's where we're at there. And I can understand Judy's statement, looking at the 4029s, which we just got here recently. I'm sorry, I do have the signed copy. I got a worksheet copy. We have a millage for fire and ambulance expiring December of 2026 of 1.3 mils originally requested. Due to the Headley rollback, we're down to 1.7766 mils. We also have an ambulance ALS millage of 0.95 that was voted in 2018, and we are now collecting 0.8896 of that 0.95 request. Fundamentally, monetarily, that's a reduction of collection of $69,787.75 for the first fire ambulance, 1.93 mil. So we've no longer obtaining that because of the Headley rollback. Not to mention on the ambulance that was in 2018, it's a reduction of $27,478.35 reduction. And it's coming up we'll have to put it out to the vote of the people next year at the gubernatorial election to make a request back to, and if there is an opportunity, maybe perhaps an increase, if you feel warranted on that, Chief Case. With an understanding that the township, we are allocated 1 mil, and because of the Headley rollback, we're down to 0.6528 mils, which is a reduction of an operational for the township budget of $296,984.64. So the township's been running very lean and very efficient in that regards. So those are just the numbers that we got on the 4029, just to validate, verify that, next year we have to have an election to make a request. Yes, correct. So that's something that she is under consideration. You said you have the information from 14
I think there's 12, yeah.
or 12 or a dozen departments?
Yep.
I would like to make a motion that we postpone action on this pending the submittal of the dozen or so updates that you have and the information that you have, Judy, until next month.
I was thinking I could make a motion to approve the 4% and then go for something like this.
I think that's what Pat-
Because the 4% makes it whole, according to our budget, and if there's issues we missed here, maybe we could work on that difference.
Okay.
But at least we move ahead today with
Something.
making them whole.
So my budget fails for lack of support.
Well, I'm sorry, I mean, I know that it's
My
just
motion.
another idea to maybe, in my personal opinion, I would think, well, let's get them whole, because obviously that's something that was overlooked in the sheet when we did the budget, and that seems to meet some of the other folks' the other board members' approvals,
Yes.
And then we can work on, to see if there's some more to be had on it.
This has been a very trying year, if I can state it nicely, in regards to trying to understand. And I was corrected again tonight on another issue that was brought up during public comment, the numbers. So,
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the budget's been a nightmare.
But my proposal would be to, honestly, we approved the budget piece, and apparently that's a little short, so my proposal would be to instate the 4% now, and then maybe follow up with further stuff.
We did 3.2, so if that passes, it's going up 0.8.
Yes.
Is it worth going up 0.8?
Absolutely.
well, that's what Pat was saying too, I believe. Isn't that what your premise was on your previous statement of doing 4% and bringing it back and looking at it?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not too confused.
I would second that if Paul wants to make the motion.
Well, that's motion.
It's your motion.
We have a motion by Paul,
Yeah.
supported by Kramer.
And the addendum to that is to then further
Right. and-
bring back.
Come
some-
back.
some
Yep, I made the request of Chief Case.
So I guess my question is, do you, moving forward, in order to keep them in line with everybody, are you thinking each year will be 5%? Is that how fast, is
Dave-
that how rapid it's going, so that, well, because then that will give us an idea for planning for future budgeting and stuff, if, if you feel that it's gonna take 5% each year, or is it gonna take 4%, or?
Most all of them, well, all of them have union contracts that are for 3 to 5 years, so we could simply look at those. I mean, those are open and available to everybody, but that's typically how theirs are going. But I know Long Lake just approved to open their wage line of their contract mid-contract, which is kind of crazy.
Yes, it is.
But to keep it to where this market is right now, again, Long Lake's got an open position, City Fire is gonna hire 6, there's 7, plus Peninsula's always had an opening, and so, yeah, I hate to say that.
Well, we have to look at the benefits as
Sure.
well as the
Well, and
wages.
again,
And we
everybody's
just-
there too.
We just really
Yep.
improve the benefits in this township.
Sure.
Which costs the township a whole lot of money, or
Yep.
the town residents a lot of money, so that's gotta
Understand.
be considered in here.
And that's all part of the sheet that I have.
Coach our guys, okay, and yeah, the guys gotta look at, here's their benefits, here's the wage, this is what they're offering, they're gonna do this. And again, that changes probably on a 12-month basis. If the city gets 6 new people, I bet they poach half of them people from locals. Poach, okay, they're gonna take our people because they're gonna make them a better offer than we're giving.
Right, and we're gonna turn around and try to do the same thing, and they're gonna jump from fire department, because they've been in every fire department around here, most of them. They've been in
That's how it
Inland,
works.
they've been in Long Lake, they've been in Benzie situation. We can't make, money isn't the only thing that's gonna make them happy.
Agreed.
Okay.
I mean, having a good fire chief
Having a
saved
great
us a
fire
lot.
chief really helps.
There's a lot of factors, but those are, and again, we don't have that problem currently. I mean, we've had our employees for,
Well, we lost one here. What was that guy's name? That left, the young kid.
it's been 2 years since we've had Logan, so,
Mhm.
yeah, so, I mean, these are good discussions to have, because these are things that keep fire chiefs awake late at night thinking
And
about.
supervisors.
Yes, agreed, agreed.
With that being said, we have a motion, we have support. I'm going to do another question to compare apples to apples. Judy, you indicated that you had an analysis of the insurance cost for single married family. Chief, you indicated that you also have that same type of
Yep.
information.
Yeah.
Dave said he had access to an contract in Leelanau County, specifically Solon Township and Associated Fire Department there. Compare it to fire and ALS, or firefighter paramedic, or is it medic firefighter?
You
I
get
don't know.
some, like Benzie County, are paramedic only, and they're,
Yeah, so that's what I'm just trying
Over.
to ascertain.
So, yeah.
Let's
we can.
compare
run those.
apples to apples,
Yep.
and I know when we first started, we were the top of the food chain. And we were not looked at favorably from other fire departments with ALS, because we raised the bar quite a bit in that regards there. So if we can, so we have a motion. Any other discussion?
Oh, just briefly,
Yes, sir.
crunch the numbers, the 4% versus 5%. So instead of a 45-cent per hour raise, it's going to be a 40-cent per hour raise. Instead of a 42-cent per hour raise, it's going to be a 38-cent per hour raise. Instead of a 39-cent per hour raise, it's going to be a 35% per hour raise. We're talking kind of small numbers here. I know it adds up, but I'm not
Okay.
trying to change the motion either.
Yeah, you stated 3 levels there, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's the floating one, which instead of 29 cents to 45 cents increase for the paid on-call pool staff, 26 to 40 cents per hour range.
Pittance, okay. Any other discussion? Let's roll call this.
Biganowski.
No, I'll support the chief's numbers.
Kramer, yes. Radke.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
McDonald. And Biondo.
Okay, I'd like to have that information at least 10 days before the next board meeting.
Okay.
And then do we want to just make sure that it's put on for next month's agenda?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next item, could you retrieve Andy? Can't believe I said that. Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
that
sure.
was just an easy way out.
Okay. Thank you for your return, Mr. Merrick. Next item on our agenda is the over-under tax collection. I know in years past, we have not allowed any over-under as far as tax payments. If they were within a few dollars, we used to waive that type of information, waive that, the collection on that over-under. We'd keep if it's over, and we'd, pay if it's a little bit under. After talking with UHY, our auditors, Jill Coverdale, who was in for 3 months instead of 3 days, and Plant Moran, they find that that previous motion that we made that had to be exact is unrealistic, and they strongly encourage all 3 units, 2 units and an individual, strongly encourage that we do allow over-under tax collection. It'll make things simpler in regards to reconciliation in that regards there. So with that being said, I did approach the treasurer in that regards there, and I did make a suggestion to him if he was interested in pursuing that. And we do have that on the desk, and the limit, I believe, is $5, is within the spectrum of what was stated by UHY, by Plant Moran, and Jill Coverdale. So this is something that I believe would help with that particular budget.
It's even legal to do that, not accept
It-
the full amount?
Yes, it is, as long as we have this document, as long as we have a resolution, and it's under $5.
Saying, well, why spend a 45-cent stamp? Send out someone a letter saying you were 20 cents short.
Yes.
I don't remember it being $5, so it was $1 or something.
Yeah, it was, I think at what that time was $2.50 or something like that. But with postage and all the other stuff that's gone, I mean, it's just, it doesn't make sense to spend $3.21 to send out a 75-cent bill. I think that's piss poor, or, sorry, that is not good use of, so I would entertain Well, I'll move to adopt resolution number 07082025.1, authorizing the township treasurer to accept tax payments with a variance of up to $5 over or under the billed amount.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, or support by West. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, fundamentally, I'm gonna vote no, because I don't approve this.
Yep. Anything else? Let's do a roll call.
Biganowski. Kramer, yes. Radke.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
McDonald. Biondo. And Merrick.
Yes.
Consider the resolution adopted, 6-1. Thank you. Next item on our agenda, which is the foreclosed property. We were noticed June 18th, which is after our board meeting date, that we have one particular piece of property that's in foreclosure in Green Lake Township, and we had to respond by July 1st. So we missed it at both ends. However, I do believe that we have time because the committee that's going to look at this doesn't meet until the end of this month, which I believe is going to be the Land Bank Authority is the next level. So we do have time. I can express our interest to the county treasurer. I think his name is Mr. Callahan. Correct me if I'm wrong. After I've been looking at this and looking at the history of what we've done, I do not believe it would be of any interest with the township owning this particular parcel, in my opinion. So I started that discussion. Any other feelings? I'll start over with Sherry.
Did Bill get us the assessed value, or the taxable value on that? I know where the house is, but did he give us that information?
No.
No. Paul, you have any comments on this regards?
Well, not many I let pass.
Okay. Judy?
I don't think it's going to benefit Green Lake Township residents by the purchase.
Dave?
Well, in Paul's day, the statutes changed. There's been like 2 constitutional cases that say that the person that gets foreclosed on gets the excess funds now, but they have to submit some sort of form. It gets really complicated, and I don't want to get in a mess, and then we gotta wait 6 months to figure out if it did it or didn't do it. I don't see any benefit.
Pat?
I hate to pass up a bargain, but on the other hand, doesn't seem to be situated where, I mean, people didn't even come in and ask for us to buy it, so we can give it back to them and sell it back to them. I don't see it being useful to the township, especially if there's gonna be litigation, perhaps.
Okay, Andy?
I don't see buying something just because it's a good deal is necessarily a smart decision, especially since I don't believe it's going to serve any purpose for the township, except for taking a piece of property off the tax rolls. If there was something we were able to use this for, like a park or something like that, I could see a value, but I don't see that on this. So I would not support purchasing this property.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, I mean, if we did pursue something of that nature there is opportunities, like Long Lake Township, our neighbor to the north, did, is when they acquired property, they put a home on it or made the home livable, and in turn rented it out at a reduced rate to the emergency services individuals to bring them in and rent it at a certain rate for a year. Then the following year, bring it up to market rate and have a requirement within 2 years, the individual that was brought up, the emergency services individual, had to find another living location so we could utilize that again for emergency services staff. That's another benefit. And they also use it for their maintenance person as well, as an interim measure. So if we want to take that adventure, and it would be on the tax rolls because it's not tax exempt when we do that. So we'd be paying taxes on it, then we'd become landlords of the particular piece of property. So, I mean, there's a benefit of recruitment, as Dave mentioned, is bringing people here. This is a benefit to be able to find a home for paramedics, firefighters to relocate up in this area. That's one of the bigger challenges. And I've taken that to, to Washington DC to have, some leniences for emergency services personnel to either have a, off the tax write-off, or whoever renting to it gets a little write-off to incentivize us the rural communities such as Green Lake is to be able to incentivize qualified paramedics, firefighters to come into a rural community. That's an option as well, but I just don't feel this is the correct piece of property to do so, because we do own other lots that we could do something with. So that's a subject for another time in regards if we want to try to step into that.
This has a house on it.
Yep. An older home.
Yes,
I don't think any of our other properties have,
correct.
other than mine.
Well, we did have one that was down the road, yeah, Mouse House. So, we'd had one down on Carlin Road that we passed on. Land Bank took it because it was, a house was on that as well. But this is something that, we could look at. We do have a bunch of property, or a handful of property that we could do this with if we wanted to.
I'd make a motion, we waive the right to purchase foreclosed property.
We have a motion by Merrick to waive the purchase of this property. Is there support for said?
I'll second it.
Supported by West. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Radke,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
McDonald, Biondo, Merrick,
Yes.
Biganowski, and Kramer, yes.
Okay, that concludes. Motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 4, which is minutes. I believe, Sherry, you pulled them off?
Yep.
What would be your points?
On page 4. On page 4, go down under Jill Coverdale in the public comment. 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th line up from the bottom of her paragraph. She says she feels the position should be changed to hourly, and then they have in there, and be a salary position. We think it should be, she should be.
Not be a,
You got it right off. Not the salary, okay.
anything else?
On page 6, and this is when Jill was giving us a report of what all she's found in her bank reconciliations. The very first sentence says, she feels the bank recs, in all honesty, once the tax account is fixed, there is still a huge problem to the tune of $6 million. We come up with that after tomorrow, do away with, she feels the bank recs, in all honesty. And she was saying that once the tax account is fixed, there is still a huge entry problem to the tune of $6 million. And then if you go down about 4 or 5 more lines, she has what she felt, in all honesty.
Okay,
Because that sentence didn't support that.
yeah. Well, the $6 million has been since corrected, but we'll bring
Right.
that forward at the next report.
And that's all
Maybe
I,
spelled wrong again, too.
What's-
It's Coverdale, not Coverdale.
The computer keeps correcting that. So she needs to change her name.
Coverdale.
It's Coverdale, and the computer wants to do Coverdale, and if you don't catch it, when Mary Jo and I are typing minutes, if we don't catch it, then,
No.
We're not making a change in it.
Yes, we're making the change, removing in the honesty and correcting her last name spelling.
And adding the word not.
Yes, and add in the word not.
Coverdil. Everywhere else it's right, but that they picked up Coverdale there.
Need to receive and file, is that what the motion needs to be?
Would entertain a motion to accept the minutes. Oh, challenged.
Page 7, second paragraph.
No, okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. It says amount of, should be the amount to.
Two, three, four, five. On page 9, net of revenues.
Yes. Yes. 219.5, okay.
Not of.
Yeah. Okay, now that I've thoroughly messed up my papers, I'm hoping that's all. Okay, with that,
I'll make that motion.
your motion would be to accept
Accept the
the,
minutes as amended.
Second.
we have a motion by Merrick, supported by Biondo, to accept the minutes as corrected. Any further discussion?
Yeah, put in the minutes of the date, June 10th, 2025, accept the minutes of June 10th.
Yes.
2022.
Everybody understand that? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries. As promised earlier, we'll move on to public comments. Same rules apply. I would ask that you rise to the podium, name and address, direct your comments to me at the board, and a 3-minute limit. I did wait a few extra seconds for the pledge, sir. Spank me once, I remember.
Greg Caskey, 117 US 31. You guys going microphone and having the camera so that other people can see it, I think is wonderful. Only thing I want to say is, there's 3 people that I can hardly hear. I don't know how it's coming through on the website, but 3 of you, I can hardly hear sitting here in the audience. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any other member of the public wishing to address this board? Hearing none, we'll move on to discussion, which I will try to address exactly what was brought forward in regards to our system. After getting our system, of course, they come up with new and improved ideas and equipment. I did take a look at Long Lake's equipment. It's a simple plug-and-play box, which includes the microphones. It picks it up a lot better, and it translates it a lot better to our public channel that we have. Instead of trying to deal with some of the computer stuff that we have here, some of the issues in that regards there. It's a lot cleaner, and I've watched probably 3 or 4 sessions of Long Lake's meetings that they've held, and I've been pretty impressed. So I did have a conversation with John Waslowski of Anavon, who's been our contact person, and he was able to throw some numbers, get me an updated estimate in regards to perhaps an upgrade of this system, which I will bring forward at next month's meeting. Just to keep that in mind, I would make a request that anybody here in the audience, let your neighbors know, we have a Green Lake Township YouTube channel. I think it's the brown one. Take a look at it. Give us your comments and give us your input and see what we could do if we could do something different. We've been doing this for a year plus, I believe, in that regards there. We do our planning commission and our zoning board of appeals meeting live as well. Yep, I'm done. So with that, any other discussion?
Yes.
What, Sherry?
I have had a HRA account for last 8 years, and we all changed over to these new people, which they're troublesome. And I no longer have the HRA because they said that we need an amendment or a motion from the board in order to get it. Now, I was talking to Judy yesterday about it, and apparently there's like 5 other employees in the township that doesn't. All of you guys that have the insurance, you get an HSA. And I think that we need to do something about it and get it back in, because it isn't a fair system. When Judy was just bringing up the stuff about the fire department, I don't know if there's any of the guys on the fire department that don't take,
There is.
There is.
so they're also not getting that benefit. And so I don't know what we have to do. We've looked into it and worked with them. These new people don't want to do it, that BBP or whoever they're involved with, it's a terrible company to work with. I spent 2 hours yesterday monkeying with them. But somebody needs to do something. And it's not going to be Matt or BBP, BBN or whatever they are.
Yeah, I believe Andy made a request to the financial institution. We're just awaiting the routing and other information. that
That's
they
for
are
the
required.
That's for her
That's for the
FSA.
FSA, not
Oh,
the.
FSA, I'm sorry.
I'll have to tell you about that.
To be honest with you, there are some other statutes that are coming into play that we are now made aware of, that I've recently been told that I should look in further into what we offer. So I'll be bringing that
Are
forward.
we talking about secondary when you're on Medicare?
No, we're talking about the insurance
Well,
and
then you-
and limits. Yes.
Insurance and that.
So I will be bringing that forward. There is a proposed bill that has been presented that would help address our area of concern, but that's not, hasn't been passed yet, and it's still stuck in subcommittee. So I'll be bringing those numbers forward next month to address the potential conflict that we have in regards to the benefits offered. So with that being said, it's opened up a can of worms. That
So
I didn't,
We're going somewhere with it,
yep, and I'm having a strong suspicion that nobody's gonna like the way it goes.
where it ends up at.
Yeah, well, I pretty much know where it's gonna end up at.
Well, let's go back to the people that we hired to handle the things. They actually canceled my thing yesterday, my account.
No.
Then had to then they had to reopen a new one. I got in. I
What's a
got-
different number, yes, because of the,
Yeah, they literally had to cancel it and said you're no longer participating with them, or we as a township are no longer participating.
yeah, it's an account listing numerical system, just like our HSA. It's a different accounting number because the feds like to watch that along with our state. What they did is opened up a general. It can't be a general. It's got to be listed and labeled as. Yeah, so there's a bunch of things that have come out since your question.
Well, I was just gonna have the board pass the resolution and be done with it.
Yeah.
Just get going forward.
Yep, well, that's an impact on the overall
of
limits.
What's coming?
Yep. So, any other discussion?
I got
Pat?
Is somebody keeping track on our millage renewals that are coming up, the time limits and when elections they got going on?
Yes, if you look at the last page of your packet, there's a 4029. And that tells you when the millage was first adopted. And at last column, it lets you know when it expires.
We have to do it before November of next year, which is the election.
Yes,
I'm
gubernatorial.
assuming it'll probably be on the August.
Yeah, we'll
Ballot.
probably run the August in that regards there. You gonna bring up the second item?
Yeah, just Township Park, we need a couple of new basketball nets, and there's posts for put in posts for volleyball way back when, but then we were in a pass.
Right through it?
So we could either move them over, one spot would be between the old pavilion and the pickleball, or we could hang tetherball from each of them and leave them where they're at.
Oh, tetherball's not a bad
That's
idea.
right.
Bring back memories.
Yeah, kids like those.
Face smacks. Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about that trail at the north end of the Memorial Park.
Well, no, it's all good. Oh, you get any price on the diamond?
Nothing yet. Just an update. That trail that we authorized last year with some of the ARPA funding and that has been cleared. And actually, it looks pretty nice. We had people from ICA, because we went onto their property as well. I received text saying, hey, great job, but can we put diamond dust down for a hard surface? Yes, for the trail, for paving and that, instead of wood chips.
That's a good idea.
So I reached out to AJ's Excavating, who did the trail for us, and he would recommend 3/8 dust stone or stone dust or whatever it was that they currently use for the TART trails, for the unpaved portions of the TART trails for ADA compliance. It's not necessarily universal access, but it's ADA compliant. So I'm awaiting a cost estimate for him to cover that with 3/8 inch diamond dust or dust, I don't know what it, but it's just a little bit coarser than diamond dust. So that's it in that regards there, for my knowledge. Anything else? By gosh and by golly, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:05.
Second.
Motion by McDonald, supported by West, to adjourn this meeting. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. I'm not going to ask anybody about no.
No.
Andy. Meeting adjourned.